can also make like a hike list if you want that as well, so let me know. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. A few videos ago, I had mentioned that I could do a separate video on just like hikes in Washington, and so here we are. This is that video. For this list, I have 4 different hikes that I have been to and I want to recommend. Starting off, I have Mount Rainier, I have Colchuck Lake, I have Icicle Ridge Trail, and then I have Oyster Dome. So let's start with Colchuck. So Colchuck is actually one of the hardest hikes that I've ever done, which I do want to say that I'm not like the most avid hiker. I would put us on the kind of like the beginner stage. We do like hiking, but we don't do it super often. And I don't know what it is about hiking, but it is just like so much harder than just regular activity. But Colchuck Lake is a 9-mile hike and it is a lot of elevation. It is 2,283 feet of elevation to be exact. This was one of those hikes where I'm like, okay, we have to be getting close to the end, right? And then you were like, maybe halfway. And honestly, like the hardest part was the last probably mile, because it's just like straight stairs. And also, I do specifically remember there was a ton of mosquitoes, so bring your bug spray if you are gonna do Colchuck. Once you get to the top, you will see why it was worth the 9 miles, because I will say, even though it was super hard, the view is totally worth it. And if it's a hot day, because it can get pretty hot out there, because this is located in central Washington, really close to Leavenworth, so it's a lot drier climate. So it can definitely get super hot. You can jump in the water, which we did opt to do. I will say I only did it because I got FOMO, but the water is freezing. I mean, you're literally like on a mountain and it's glacier water, so of course it's cold, but wow, it was really colder than I expected. But it was worth it. I will say it was totally worth it, because by the time we were at the top and ready to go back down, the heat had really set in, and so having like my hair wet made such a difference on the way down for just like not overheating. So Colchuck is a fairly popular hike, even though it is on the harder side, so I do recommend, if you're able to get out there pretty much as early as possible. I believe we left at like 5 a.m. or something to get there by 8 a.m. One, because it gets crowded and the parking lot is really small, so you might not be able to find parking, and then B, because you do want to start the hike before like the hottest times of the day, because otherwise you will be miserable. But as you can see from the videos, it is beautiful, it's breathtaking, and just imagine what it's like in person. Moving on, I figure I might as well stay within the Leavenworth area, because I have another one on my list that is not quite as hard as Colchuck if you're not quite ready to tackle the 9 miles. There is Icicle Ridge Trail.
We both know this is temporary. Maybe we'll last till January. I lost control when you call me baby. If I go down that road, you know you're coming with me. But I'll chase rainy days. Oh, I love the way it tastes on the mattress where
Icicle Ridge Trail is 5.5 miles and the elevation is 1,758 feet. So definitely not near Colchuck. With this one, since you are still in that central Washington area, and like I said, it gets very dry and hot there, do keep in mind that this hike doesn't have a whole lot of shade, so you are going to be seeing a lot of sun, and for the fair-skinned people like myself, make sure you have your sunscreen because you will regret it if you do not. The thing that was nice about this one, because it does have still like a fair amount of elevation, it is mostly switchbacks, so I feel like that cuts like down how hard it is, and it's not just straight stairs all the way up. You're just kind of going back and forth, which in my opinion makes it a little bit easier. But once you get to the top of this one, you have a beautiful 360 view of like the mountains, and then you can see over into the little town. It's a super nice one to do. And I have filmed a vlog before of Leavenworth. It's the cute little Bavarian town, and it's honestly a little bit far from Seattle, so you kind of like want to make the trek out there worth it. So I think it's totally worth it if you're gonna go out there for a hike, because then you can just come back down once you're dead tired and get like a beer or a drink and a pretzel and just like enjoy the rest of your time before you have to drive all the way back to the city. So next on my list is Oyster Dome. And I like Oyster Dome for a similar reason as I like the last two, because of the reward that you get at the end of the hike. So with Oyster Dome, you actually have two options for hikes. There is a 9.3 mile loop, or there is a 5 mile loop. I can't really speak for the 9.3 mile one because we decided to opt out of that one and take the shorter route. I am assuming that with that one you just start at the bottom of the hill and work your way up. But if you want to take the 5 mile loop, you will drive up halfway, and then there's a park there at the Samish Lookout, and then you start your hike from there. This one is also a popular one, so it can get crowded as well. And there's a fair-sized parking lot, but I'm sure it can only fit so many, so I would say think about that timing-wise as well. Try to get there a little bit earlier. And driving up that mountain, there is a lot of like holes in the ground, and it's kind of like a rough terrain, but we did it in a Prius, so I'm sure you could manage. In terms of difficulty, I would definitely compare this one to the Icicle Ridge. It's definitely more of like a moderate to easier hike. It's not super steep, and it's not like super long, so it's kind of like that perfect sweet spot, at least for me personally. But like I said in the beginning, this one you do get a reward at the end. Well, I mean, it's honestly up to you whether or not you want the reward, but I highly suggest, once you finish the hike, driving down to the Taylor Shellfish Farms. Taylor Shellfish is a super popular oyster restaurant here within the Seattle area, but out in Bow, Washington, where Oyster Dome is, they have like the actual farms where you're able to shuck the oysters and like see the whole process of that before they get shipped out to the restaurants. And even if you don't like oysters, because I don't like oysters, I can't get behind the texture, they do have a couple other options, and it's just a beautiful little restaurant to sit and like look over the water. And after a hike, that's like the best. And last up on my list is Mount Rainier. felt like I couldn't just give you one hike to do. I haven't done that many hikes out there, but I did do a lot of research and I kind of just picked and pulled from a bunch of different articles, ones that I had seen multiple times, so I know that they're good or deemed popular, and I'm just gonna give you like a little quick list of that now. So some of the hikes that I saw super frequently on all of the lists were the Skyline Trail, which is 5.6 miles, the Spray Park Trail, which is 6.9 miles, Tolmie Peak, which is also 5.6 miles, the Mount Fremont Lookout, which is 5.7 miles, and then I just decided to throw this one in there because I had actually done this one last year when we were there, and that is the Mirror Lake Loop Trail, and that one is 4.2 miles. I will say, and this might just be because we, like I said, aren't like super seasoned hikers, when we did the Mirror Loop Trail, that one was kind of confusing. I remember there being 2 different paths to take, and I also remember we at one point just like came out of the trail and it was just like a road, and we were like, okay, is that the end? But also, where are we and where's the parking lot? Like, it was kind of confusing. Okay. But yes, we managed to figure it out and it was all fine and dandy. But I will say, if you don't want to do the hike of this one, both of the like viewing points you can drive to. There is a parking lot, and I highly recommend checking out Mirror Lake because it is beautiful. But pretty much any hike that you're gonna go to in Mount Rainier is gonna be such a sight to see. It's beautiful out there, and it's just so crazy because like just seeing it from the city, like you can pretty much see Mount Rainier in most places from the city, and from here it looks huge, but when you're there, oh my god, it is something else. It's so big, so I highly recommend getting out to Mount Rainier if you get the chance. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some hike ideas, and feel free, like if you have any hikes that you've done in Washington that you just love, please let me know because I need more hike ideas to go out and do. I bought hiking boots for a reason. I need to get the worth out of them. But as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!
I'll chase rain